Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be checking out the FuriBee DT140 Space Wolf. I've been looking forward to this one, so let's get and take a closer look at it. So this one's been listed on the website for quite some time and it's only just turned up, and that does seem to be the trend of GearBest. They have great models, really good prices, but you never really know when the thing is going to turn up, and the specs seem to have actually changed on this one compared to the website, so I'll take a look at that in a moment. But this does seem to be a updated version, or upgraded should I say, to the FuriBee X140. This is a fantastic model, and when I reviewed it I couldn't believe the price. Unfortunately, it does seem like they have changed the price, and at the date of making this video there's not much difference between these two when it comes to price. There might still be a reason why you'd want to go for this one though, and we'll take a look at that. So this is the bind and fly version. You can also get it as a plug and fly. It's come with a FreeSky XM Plus receiver, and it's just come in a blank box. You don't get given a battery, there's no instructions, you're not even given a battery strap, which I thought was a bit of a shame, but they are working to a budget. And you can see in the box here we have got a low ESR capacitor, and that is because the guts of this model seems to be the HGL-RC F428 stack. So we've got 28 amp ESCs down here running BL Halley 16.7, and it was set up with D-Shock commands actually, which I thought was interesting. Then we've got an Omnibus F4 flight controller with Betaflight on-screen display, and then we've got the VTX. Now this is the V2 of the stack, so it's come with the smart audio connected to the TX6 or the UART6. Now you can see there that we've got this display on here for the channel, and that wasn't on the X140, which meant that you could fit the Runcam Mini in there without any modification. However, I would say with this one, because we have got this LED indicator a little bit higher, you might struggle to get this in. You probably have to modify it, maybe put it on some smaller standoffs here. I think you still could get it in, and that is maybe the reason why you'd still want to go for this. This one is a lot lighter as well. Now I've got the Runcam Mini in here and it weighs 147 grams. Without a battery, of course. This one weighs 150 grams and it doesn't have a split mini in there, and that is because of these bigger motors. So there is still a market for this guy, I think, because it's a little bit lighter. You do suffer when going up in motor size with the weight. That being said, with a 650 milliamp 4S battery, so yeah, it takes a 4S battery, it weighs 216 grams, and then with a 850 milliamp 4S, which I've got here, it's a tattoo one, it weighs bang on the nose 250 grams, so it is still a acceptable weight for a 3-inch model, but it is going to be heavier than this guy, and heavier on the amps as well. So let's talk about the motors, because when this guy was listed, I think they said it was going to have 1407 motors, but it's actually got 1506 3400 kV motors, and they seem to be a advancement on the motor that came on the FuriBee Genie user. So we've got that same pattern on the top there, very strong magnets, but you can see there that we have got the smaller base for the motor there as well. So yeah, bigger motor on this one. And then the propellers, they are a 3045. They aren't branded, but of course this one here came with a 4-blade propeller. We've got a 3-blade here. And yeah, I've had to add my own battery strap. This is a Runcam battery strap because I thought I'd match the colour. And I've also added a silicone mat down here as well, because the battery would just get thrown if I didn't. Just small things. And the frame, you can buy the frame on its own. I think it's called the VX140, and you can get it from GearBest and other retailers. It's a very cheap frame. I think it costs around about £16, and yes, there is room in here for the Runcam Mini. That is what is attractive about this, and you could probably run a battery on the top if it was small enough. I think the way that they have put these antenna mounts on here, yeah, so this all came like this with the cable ties on and these heat shrinks. You could probably stick a battery on the top there, but these would have to sit at the back further, otherwise that's going to get in the way of your camera. But yeah, you could mount the battery on the top if you wanted, but I've gone for a bottom mount there. So on the website, it also mentions that the camera is a Runcam Micro. It's not, it's one of the FuriBee copies. I think they call it the MS, which of course stands for Micro Swift. And it's a PAL camera. Interestingly, it's soldered direct. They've removed the connector off there, but not the connector for the on-screen display. So I'm not sure what that's about. Got a little lens cap on there as well. But yeah, it seems like a really smart copter, and yeah, as I say, we've got the upgrades. So this VTX, it's a 48 channel, and it switches from 25 milliwatt to 350 milliwatt, I think. It's using a sleeve dipole antenna. It's just on a little micro UFL connector there, and it doesn't have any support, so a little bit of silicon wouldn't go amiss there. The receiver, so yeah, it's the XM Plus. It's come with the RSSI on channel 16, which isn't ideal. I prefer it coming on channel 8 because it means you can select channels 1 to 8 in your transmitter, and that means you get the least amount of latency. But I'll try it anyway. It was set up already through Betaflight. In fact, there was very minimal setup. The only thing that I have changed is the PIDs. It's just got stock Betaflight PIDs. It's come flash with version 3.25. and it's got custom rates in there as well. And I just changed the on-screen display around. It didn't have the VTX channel selected, which of course we can do with the smart audio. In fact, that's all set up, like I say, in Betaflight. So I changed the modes around. It didn't have arming on a switch. It has got turtle mode already in there on a switch, but it's got things that you don't need, so I've removed those, and I've just got the beeper on the aux 3, and then I've got angle, horizon, and acro. Now, it didn't have air mode permanently selected, but it did have anti-gravity and dynamic filters, so I've just enabled air mode permanently on there. I've put in my command set small underscore angle equals 180, so that if I get stuck in a tree, I can rearm, and, you know, it doesn't matter if the copter's not flat when it arms. One thing that is different, I should say, is this has come with an XT30 connector. The X140 has got a XT60, even though this one is still lighter. So yeah, these motors do make quite a difference to the weight, but hopefully it will still perform better than this guy. Not that this guy didn't have great performance, but I think this is going to have more punch, but we will check that, of course. So there's also no LED board with this one. It does have a buzzer, but it's a smaller buzzer than the one on the X140. So again, this is a programmable LED board. Another reason to go for this one. And you can see it's got something added, but again, it still manages to be much lighter. This just dangling around, I think they could have just fixed it, because, you know, too many knocks of that is just going to wear the solder joints here, so that could do with being fixed somewhere. I'm not a big LED board fan, so, you know, it's not a big deal for me, but if you like LEDs, then, you know, it's another reason to go for this guy, especially with the price being very similar. Okay, let's see how this thing performs line of sight. This is the maiden, so I'm starting off in angle mode just to make sure everything's okay. I'm using 6% digital idle to combat any stopping of those motors. It was just set at stock 4.5, so I've bumped that up there. Everything seems okay. I've given it the same PIDs as the X140, seeing as the weight is very similar. So let's check out what the punch is like. Yeah, it's got more punch than the X140. Not by loads because of the extra weight of the motors, but it definitely has more. I'm not hearing any oscillations, so that's good news. So the tune for line of sight at least seems to be okay. So let's flick into acro. Yeah, everything seems okay. Yeah, I'm definitely noticing more power with this guy. But sometimes with more power comes more problems, such as like more amp draw. One thing I really loved about the X140 is that it wasn't too heavy on the amps and you could give it full throttle and your battery wouldn't sag. Be interesting to see what this one is like. Now I have also adjusted the voltage warning. I've set it at around about 3 volts. It was again at stock value, so I lower that to avoid the beeper going off at the top of the throttle when we get voltage sag. So we're not going to see any evidence of voltage sag on the line of sight, but we will see it on the FPV if it's there. Wow, yeah. This fly nice, just as I thought it would. I mean, you can't really go wrong with these HGL-RC stacks. They're my favorite setups, you know, when it comes to ESCs and flight controllers and things. It's just really impressive, I have to say. And it seems like these motors are performing nice as well. Definitely has a little bit of a bark though. I mean, it's not a very loud model, but you know, it's not quiet either. But so far I'm loving it. I'm loving how this hobby is going with all the connectivity, with the tramp protocol and the smart audio. I've checked all that and it's working on here. So yeah, it's using the tramp protocol. Oh man, this is awesome. Yeah, I think it's definitely past the line of sight test. One thing I like to do before I do a landing is let's just flick it back into angle mode and see if we've got any drift. For the people that like to stay in angle mode, I did calibrate the accelerometer, no drift. Right. What's coming for a landing? Alright, 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 let's see how it performs FPV. Now, I can't really critique the tune because it's my tune. Screw it, let's critique the tune. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of bounce. Not too much though, not too bad, not too bad. I will overlay the PIDs. Maybe you can work on them yourself. Okay, let's check out the RSSI. So let's take it over the other end of the field, staying in the 90s, 80s. That's about 120 meters there or thereabouts. Punch, look at that, oh wow. That did not sag below 14 volts, which is what I'm looking for really. You see, if it gets below 14, then you really want to be coming off the throttle, but no need, full throttle. Just dip below there, but man, that's not bad, that's not bad at all. I think unless they come down on the price with that X140, there's not going to be much reason to get it over this. Maybe if you want to fit the split easier, but I think with a bit of work you could fit the split to this. So yeah, camera quality is looking good, I have to say. Not seeing much breakup. I am using a Bandicoot patch antenna here, and that is in conjunction with the True Diversity module. So you know, I always like to mention that because it does make a difference. yeah, more performance, and you don't have too much voltage sag. Of course, that is down to these tattoo batteries that I'm using as well, you have to remember. But yeah, I think we've got another good one here from FuriBee. You can see there I've got the VTX channel on there, so that's all working. Yeah, tune's alright, I'm being harsh on myself. Could do a little bit of work, but I'd say it was fine. I don't think you'd have any luck with the stock tune because it was just stock PIDs. I think you'd get oscillations with it, and your motors would probably get too hot. Yeah, this flies nice. Flies really nice. Coming up to a 3-minute flight time, and the voltage is 14.8, so decent flight time. You could use a 650 milliamp battery with this. However, I like the 850 milliamp batteries because I find that the copter is easier to tune with a little bit more weight. But you know, you could get more performance probably with a 650 milliamp, more punch, but possibly a slightly lower flight time. I mean 14.7 volts there, and we're at 3.5 minutes. Now if you're just cruising, you know, you could be looking at a 4-minute flight time with this, you know, which is respectable. Look at that, fantastic range. I'm impressed with it, and it's nicely priced as well. Right, yeah, pretty nice. So I will leave a link in the description if you wish to get one, and I recommend that you do, and I'll come in for a landing. So I'll say thank you so much for watching, and as always, please continue to subscribe. Cheers.